Salute is a program for and about men and women who have served our country. Our program includes news about the laws that affect veterans, information on benefits and services, and news from veterans organizations. And now, our host, Bob Peters.
Hello and welcome to Salute. I'm your host, Bob Peters. With me today are some gentlemen from the Continental Veterans Association, Mr. Ken Bandy North. Welcome to the show, Ken. And Mr. Ken Farver, also both residents in Continental. And I will thank you for coming on the show. I know we want to talk about the Continental Veterans Association, but first I'd like to talk a little bit about yourselves, where you're originally from. And I have to yield to the senior member over here.
I can understand that.
You know, Ken, you're World War II,
Yes.
and tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in Newcastle, Pennsylvania in 1920. I was educated there, attended college at Penn State, and graduated in 41. So that's my basic childhood.
When did you graduate? When you graduated, what did you graduate as?
Electrical engineering.
Electrical engineering?
I no more than got out of college, and I made application for a commission in the service because this was after the bombing at Pearl Harbor. I received a commission in Washington. I went down to Washington. I was working at that time for the Pennsylvania Railroad as a signal supervisor apprentice program that they had. So I jumped on the train, proceeded to Washington, went into the office and signed on. But on the back of it, they turned it over and said, "Would you sign this that you can go anywhere in the world?" So I signed yes. This required that I go to radar school, U.S. radar school at Fort Monmouth, which I did for about 2 months. Then they sent me by train through Canada in plain clothes by ship to England. At that time, they were looking for radar specialists. Well, while in the States, I got tuned up on what the U.S. had done in radar, and as soon as we got to, there were 8 of us in my group, and we were known as the Electronics Training Group. And we were being trained to I replaced 2 British maintenance officers who were then sent to Africa. But to make this story complete, I was sent back to the U.S. That fall in '42, and went through training again as a commander of a group of signal personnel. But they sent me then to Wright Field in Dayton, Ohio. And I was a radar maintenance specialist there for a bit. At that time, we were coming out with guided missiles. And I spent time at RCA in New Jersey, and also down at Eglin Field in Florida. The interesting thing there that I enjoyed was this additional use of radar in guiding equipment. And we did this on 200-pound and on 2,000-pound bombs, which didn't much make it into the war, but we were ready for it. And what we were after with the 200-pound bombs was that we could go up and pancake a plane so that it wouldn't fall straight, and drop a bomb with an Norton bomb sight and be pretty accurate with it. especially on right or left. But on range, it was, at that time, it was a little skeptical. They later come out with what they called a raison, which was a range and right or left type of control, so that it was much more effective. This was the type of thing that the Air Force wanted for bridges and freight yards for railroads, and it was a very interesting application. So that basically was my training. The 2,000-pound bombs were made ready for the French coast, where the Germans had their submarine pens. And we couldn't get overhead bombing because of the thickness of their reinforcement, like 15 feet of reinforced concrete above these submarine pens. And so we had slid these in. We could go with them and guide them in at about 3 degrees, and they continued to drop in. But we had to find a door open first. So we sent a P-51 night fighter equipped with 2 pilots, one looking over the shoulder of the second one, but also looking into a TV camera. And that's the way that we got them up with B-17s. We'd drop them away, and then they'd transfer the action or the holding of the bomb online with the pilot was up over this in the top section. But that was the basic overseas experiences that I had, and it was a very, very interesting application of an engineer into their field of endeavor, because I was so quick out of college, or so recent out of college.
Well, you know, a lot of people didn't realize that radar really was in its infancy in World War II is when it came out.
Correct.
You know, so it's it's really interesting that you said there's a little TV they can watch.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's interesting too. I didn't know that. Well, I thank you for your service. After you got out of the service, where did you go?
Back to the Pennsylvania Railroad.
Oh, a railroad man. My father was a railroad man. Yeah. Well, we don't want to leave the other Ken out over here. Karaoke Ken, as he's known. Ken, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally?
Well, I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. And after 2 years of college, I went into the Naval Aviation Program, or NAVCAD. And I went in through Great Lakes Training Center and Glenview Naval Air Station, and then down to Pensacola, Florida for basic pre-flight training. I was stationed at Sofley Field in Florida, Pensacola. From there, I went to NAS Millington, Tennessee for radio instrument training, and then down to Kingsville, Texas for advanced training, and carrier qualified on the Antietam. And after
Excuse me, the Antietam, what is that?
the Antietam aircraft carrier.
Oh, I'm an
Yeah.
Air Force guy. You
Yeah.
know, we don't take off from the ocean. We take
Right.
off from the ground.
And yeah, from there I was stationed with the air group on the Intrepid. And fortunately, I was in a period where I never shot at anything that was going to be shooting back at me. So it was kind of but it was a wonderful experience.
Mm-hmm. You were flying F-9s and F-11s? So those are
Yeah,
fighters, right? Is that one man, two man?
One man. I flew the F-9F, which is the Grumman Cougar, and the F-11F, which was the Grumman Tiger. And the Tiger, people are probably more familiar with the F-11 because that's what the Blue Angels flew for years before they went to the A-4s. So, and after that, I had most of my career was in sales and marketing in the transportation industry. Retired in '99, and we lived aboard our boat down in the Keys for 7 years.
Wow, that had to be interesting.
It was. And then after we had to evacuate for a few hurricanes, we decided that the boat life we did there and been there and done that.
Time to move on.
So we moved to Central Florida and Continental Country Club. And a little bit about the Veterans Association. Ken and Bill Gray and several others formed the Continental Vets. And back in those days, there was probably 6 vets that got together and had cookies and coffee and talked about their experiences. But now we've grown into quite a viable organization. Through our fundraisers, we have 2 fundraisers a year, which are hot dog nights. Excuse me. And we have constructed a Veterans Memorial Park at the front entrance of Continental Country Club. And along with some of our other duties that we do, and it's not really a duty, it's a pleasure, but we also perform military funerals, both at Continental Country Club at our Veterans Memorial and also down at the National Cemetery in Bushnell. In addition to our Continental Vets Honor Guard, Ken and I are both members of the Honor Guard, but we have a ladies' auxiliary, and they are the Color Guard. And we have a lady for all the 5 branches, plus the Merchant Marine and POW MIA. And we perform the ceremonies at all Veterans Day, 4th of July, Memorial Day, as well as the functions of funerals at Bushnell and our Veterans Memorial.
So if people don't know where Continental Country Club is, tell them where it is.
Well, nowadays we
Give
can...
us a little history about Continental. There was a couple of famous residents there, right?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Mickey Mantle had a house there for many years, and his house happens to be just kitty corner from where I live. But nowadays we can give people a landmark and say we're across the road from Brownwood,
Yeah.
which moved right to practically to our front door. But we're located on Highway 44 between the city of Wildwood and the city of Leesburg.
It's a 55 and up.
55 and up, yes.
Yeah. When did it start? You know.
It's about, what, 30 years?
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Easy, 30 years.
One thing that we're noted for is our championship 18-hole golf course. It amazes me how many people from the villages come in and want to play our course, because it is kept in top-notch condition. And we have a lot of people that just rave about our championship golf course. At one time...
Are you looking for a free round of golf there, Ken, or what? Huh?
No,
Throw
actually.
that plug in there?
No. And actually, in one of the magazines, Central Florida magazines, it was listed in the top 10 golf courses in Central Florida.
Okay. Do you want to give me a little history on how you guys? You were one of the founding members, right, of the veterans?
Yes, I got it. I moved, well, first of all, my wife and I come down here. I was retired from General Electric in Erie, Pennsylvania, as a designer in electrical equipment for locomotives. And the first locomotive I worked on was a 8,000 horsepower unit that was turbo-driven that went to the Union Pacific. And that was quite a job. But anyway, back to my subject. Sarah and I came to the area here after our retirement in '83. Looked up and down Florida on both sides, and in the middle for a golf course and the place to live. She happened to have an associate that in her work that came from South Florida, and she and her husband, who was an undertaker, had always talked about coming in north of where they were in Naples because of to live year-round here in Florida. So she recommended to stay above Route 4. So we looked and looked and looked, and had a motorhome at that time, and we used 6 years. We went up and down looking. Then we finally come up here. We had a friend that was in Continental, that Sarah knew that from up in Pennsylvania, who suggested that, hey, come out and take a look. So we did. And we fell in love with the place. We were living south of town down at Hollywood Trailer Park. And we moved to another place over there and sold our motorhome and been there permanently. So that's the background on my locating. The other part of your question was,
How did he get started?
how did it get started? Oh, the Continental Country.
The
Veterans.
Veterans Association.
Oh, the Veterans Association.
How many members did you have when you first started?
There were about 6 of us that were serious enough, and we looked around. We said, "Hey, we've got more fellas in here that don't own up to being a veteran yet, and how come?" So that's what we got together, and we met every month, once a month for a few years. But the drawing card evidently was the tea and the cookies.
You got good cookies there?
But the main thing that we found at that time was passing information around that others would see, or in the papers or in magazines about veterans, and that was an interesting part of our programs.
Yeah, I think it's good in the communities, like Pembroke.
Yes.
There's 2 gentlemen we've had on this show before. They were both prisoners of war. I don't know if you saw that show. And they were released and they went home and they did their careers and all that. And then they came in and they were sitting down at one of their veterans ceremony type things. And the guy says, "Well, I was a prisoner of war in such and such a place." And the other guy goes, "Wow, so was I." Same time. And they lived 4 houses apart.
Oh, boy.
So, these
amazing.
associations and veterans of groups inside like areas like the Continental and all that, there's a lot of good stories in there. So I hope you get some more of your veterans to come on our show. Are you guys like a 501c, or you have to be a resident to be a member? What are your rules?
I believe our bylaws state that you have to be a resident of Continental Country Club. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you say you do like fundraisers for?
Yes, we do the fundraisers. I neglected to mention that we also, if we find a veteran in need, especially around Thanksgiving and Christmas, we'll take some of our funds and donate to that veteran so that he and his family can have a good Thanksgiving or Christmas. We also donate to the Wildwood Food Kitchen, Food Pantry, and Soup Kitchen. So we try to be a publicly community affair.
I got another question. You 2 are from Continental Veterans Association. There's one other guy that I know there who's your chaplain. His name is Ken. Do you have to have a name of Ken? Any Bobs?
No,
Bobs.
That's not a prerequisite that you name Ken. No.
Okay. So and how many? You say I'm sorry if you mentioned it, but I don't remember. How many members do you have between? You have an auxiliary and plus your veterans, right?
I think we're probably up somewhere around 60 now. It could be higher than that, but 60 active members that come to the meetings and participate in the functions. I'll tell you, one of the heartwarming things for me is to see, like on Memorial Day, we have a ceremony by the Veterans Memorial, and to see all the residents come out in their golf carts and their chairs, and we get a really good turnout of people, and
that's great. How many people live there anyway? It's actually pretty big, from what I understand. You see something from the road, and of course you see the houses I hit on the golf course. You see those. I don't hit any, really.
I think there's, plus or minus 930 some odd homes. I don't know the percentage that are full-time residents versus who are snowbirds and come back, every year. But it's a nice place to live.
Okay. And you said you got a Veterans Park that you put in?
Yes, we've got the Veterans Memorial, all 5 flags, all of the 5 branches are represented there. And glad you brought that up, because that's one of our other fundraisers. We have sold bricks to be placed around the memorial with a person's name and service dates in memory of my father, et cetera, et cetera. And we sell those bricks and to put them around the Veterans Memorial.
You have, in Continental, because I've been there plenty of times, you have a restaurant.
Yes.
And that's open to the public.
Open to the public.
Now, when you have your services like Memorial Day or something, is that open to the public for people
Yes,
to
it
come
is.
into? So
Our restaurant is always open to the public, as is our golf course.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other things that we do at Continental Vets, they've been very supportive of the honor flight. As a matter of fact, Ken was, in March, Ken went on a flight to Washington on the honor flight. I was his guardian. So we had a wonderful experience in Washington, D.C. With the honor flight.
Yeah, well, I would like to talk about that more at another time. Okay, but there's one question that's in the back of my mind, and that's for you.
Yes, sir.
What's it like to take off and land on an aircraft carrier? I tell you, that's got to be nerve-wracking.
It's a kick in the pants.
Yeah.
And it's an experience. Once you've done it, it's just another day at the office. But the first few times,
you kind of a different kind of office than I go with.
well,
I mean, you do night landing. Have you done night landing?
Night landing. Matter of fact, our ship was one of the first to have the mirror landing system. I actually qualified with the paddles and the LSO, but we had the mirror landing system, the meatball, and all it is they project a light from the deck of the carrier to a mirror, and then that projects up the glide path, so that as long as the meatball is between the 2 reference lights, you're on glide path. If the meatball is low, you're low. If the meatball is high, you're high. And as long as you keep it in those...
You gotta watch your meatballs.
Right. And hope that you catch the third cable.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'd like, if you have anything else to talk about your uniforms. You guys buy your own uniforms? You raise money for your uniforms?
Actually, our uniforms were provided by the Veterans Association.
Okay, so it's one of your fundraisers.
Right.
That helps out with that too.
Right. And the ladies, they've been very helpful in uniforms that need altering, lengthening, or usually they have to let out the seams in the trousers. But
Why is that?
I don't know. They shrink.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no dryer. You put them in the dryer. That's what happens. Yeah. So you have any lady vets in your group?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, we do. We have, 6?
I think it's
6.
Wow. See, you got to get them to come on this show.
We could do that.
Because I don't hear enough about the lady veterans. We have had some, but they're a big part of the military and like to tell their story. So.
It's an interesting point. One of the lady vets on our flight, on our honor flight, served in the Pacific and was the secretary to Douglas MacArthur.
Really?
And she's 93 or 94 years old. And she was on our honor flight in May.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. We're going to come back and talk about the honor flight because we're out of time for this episode. But your fundraisers, when you have a fundraiser per se, probably at the clubhouse, or where do you have these?
We usually have it at the Veterans Memorial out by the front entrance of Continental Country Club.
Okay, so you
And-
don't have like a dinners or anything like that?
Well, it's hot dog night. We supply the club buys the hot dogs, and we resell them at $5, and then the ladies pitch in and they get the potato salad and the coleslaw and whatever. I do the music for the.
Yeah, Karaoke Ken.
Yeah.
I've heard of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do the music for all of the functions and provide the sound system.
Okay, well, gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
You're very
And we were going to get back another time to talk about that honor flight because I'm going on one. So I want to talk to you guys about it, and we'll do it on another show.
It's an experience of a lifetime, Bob.
That's what I
certainly
hear.
is.
So anyway, I have to sign off, and this is how we sign off. To all our veterans out there, our active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time. This is our 4th year at Lakefront TV. We're still looking for guests, and we'd love to have you on. We're proud of what we've done in the past. So give us a call at 352-728-9707 and check us out on the internet at lakefronttv.com. Spread the word and enjoy the show.